Hey guys, welcome back to Seller Sessions. Today I bring back Micheal Hartman. Today what we're going to do is just going to follow up on the Kickstarter that Micheal launched a few weeks back. I think it was in and around his birthday. At that time we discussed a few things, being that the product is a product for ladies. Micheal will take up the story on this part as well. What Micheal just discovered was like 85% or so of Kickstarters are basically generated by men buying products on the platform. So we knew there's a bit of a start coming off, it's going to be kind of difficult. The remaining percentages being women purchases. So we didn't know about where the investment would come from there. But Micheal, do you want to take up the story of what's happened since the launch?
Yeah, so we raised about $12,000 some odd dollars. We hit hard with an email list that we had in-house from other businesses doing fashion, women's fashion. This was a dress.
Yeah.
And the email list returned like 0 backers, which was interesting. I mean, we sent 220,000 emails.
Wow.
So, and they just weren't interested. I mean, it drove a lot of traffic to the listing, but we didn't get any conversions from there. We hit all our conversions basically from Facebook ads. And so in the beginning, we had really good conversion rate, but it generally trails off after a few days. So we advertised for about 10 days. By 10 days, we hit like let's say day 7, we hit like our optimal zone. We couldn't go higher. We couldn't go lower. We were getting like 2.4 ROAs. We started with like 3.2.
So that's your return on ad spend, yeah, is what you're saying?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so we decided to like basically cut the advertising and decide what to do to see if more conversions were coming in organically or not.
Yeah.
And since we cut the ads, which has been about 10 days now, we've gotten 2 more backers and like no traffic whatsoever.
Right.
And so basically...
There's no organic traffic coming. Everything was coming in by paid traffic. You couldn't scale it. You hit 2.4 in terms of return on ad spend.
It was not scalable, right? So I'm hitting 2.4, but I'm getting 5 backers a day. I mean, it's not like I'm getting thousands of backers. So it just wasn't scalable.
Yeah.
I would try and scale it. I would just blow money.
Yeah.
And so it wasn't working out so well. So we decided to cut that and put the resources on a different project, which has better ROA and our return on time. Yeah. And it was a learning experience. So we have some feedback that it was a complicated product, that it wasn't fat person inclusive. I needed to make like a 4XL dress for some of these women, which was just, let's say it would definitely not be profitable because of the sheer amount of material that I would have to use. So I was using 6 square meters of material for an average size girl. When we went into this, it was like 8 square meters. It was just too much. So that adds to the cost. It was 2.2 kilos for shipping. So the next time I do something, I think I'll do something in the future, but I'm going to make it more simplistic, less artistic, and, just lighter, so it's not going to be so heavy. So funny thing is 50% of the backers were men.
Yeah.
And then 40% of all backers were from Japan. So Japanese women loved the dress. American women hated it. I think I had like 4 backers in America, which is really weird. And the rest were from Europe and Japan.
Wow. That's interesting. But I've previously sold in Japan, and I know a lot of sellers down that way. And the Japanese are very fussy on products. They don't like to leave too many reviews, and their reviews are quite neutral on products, but they do demand high quality. So that is a good indicator. So would that mean that you would consider selling this product? Because the idea was you're going to launch through Kickstarter, grow the brand, and then sell it on Amazon anyway, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, see, now I have like a couple options, right? So Japan has its own Kickstarter like platform, which is full of Japanese users.
Right.
And so that's one option. Yeah. Or we can basically launch it directly in Japan. So we do have a lot of interest in Japan. Just not really sure. I mean, so it depends on, for me, it always boils down to time. Like I'm involved in a lot of projects.
Of course.
And so do I just kill this one off and move on to something else? I'm kind of tied to it a little bit because it's really for, my girlfriend. We did this for her as like her first venture into entrepreneurialism. She designed the dress and everything else. So as we say, happy wife, happy life.
Yeah.
So maybe we'll try the Japanese platform. But we'll probably end up either just leaving it and doing what orders we have and fulfilling those, or we'll kill it off because it'll be a distraction for production. I mean, that's basically it.
I mean, setting up in Japan is very easy. It's one. Where did you manufacture these dresses? Are they done locally in the US or are they done in China?
No, Romania, man.
Oh, they're in Romania.
So Romania makes a lot of fashion. The other weird thing is the same day we launched our campaign, there was another dress campaign that had 5 previous like successful campaigns. Their biggest one being $100 grand.
Right.
But it basically took most of the market that was available. Yeah. And if I look at the amount of money they garnered and the amount of money I garnered, it's basically the same. Yeah. So it's just telling me there's just not the demand there right now for these products. Yeah. So that's kind of, would be it.
But the important thing, like you said, is having a happy relationship with your wife, your partner. So what's been her take on it as well? Because from like this is maybe her first foray in, whereas like if you've done loads of projects, like there will come a point where you can take yourself out of the process because you didn't design the dress. You've not got that personal investment. But if your wife has done this, it's her first rodeo, basically, then she's going to have a lot of commitment into that and put a love and life into it because it's a creative aspect. Like when I used to make records, they're like they're your babies. Do you know what I mean? Because it's like a painter. It's the it comes down to artistry, not just business. Yeah,
you're 100% right. So she's been with me. We've been together for 2 years. So she's seen me success and failure. And she seen me just walk away, and I prepared her. I said, look, you might fail. And I've been telling her this for like a year. You might fail, but it's okay. Yeah. So she's ready for the next project, whether it's this one or not. She'll be a little bit disappointed if the brand dies off because she really liked the brand. Yeah. But she understands that it's like, on to the next one type deal. So, the idea is you just got to keep trying until you figure something out.
Exactly. So invest it elsewhere, then basically she still gets her creative output as well. And then, she's tasted this as an example where you can learn from all this and take all the positives and the negatives and build that into the next project.
Exactly. And she's happy she ended up with like 7 new dresses. So she has no complaints, right? So she has all the prototypes set up.
Well, it's interesting now. We talk about like success and failure. Like we're talking openly on a call here about this. People shouldn't be ashamed by this. I mean, I spoke to Fernando and Nick. Like I've had them on the show before, and basically their strike rate is about 55 to 60% on their products, and then they dump the rest. So nearly half their products are considered "quote unquote" failures, but they have to move them on. And I think in our space, people are ashamed. The product fails, but they don't always pick themselves up and move forward. And I think you don't wear this as a badge of honor. You shouldn't celebrate failure in that sense. You should be pissed that you failed, but equally, you need to take it as reframe that as a learning process. And as long as you still got money to stay in the game, stay in the game. Just get on with it.
Well, there's 2 points that you mentioned, which is like never put all your money into one business, like eggs into one basket. Yeah. Always have for me, that's very important. And number 2, it's never failure if you're learning, right? If you learn something, then it's a learning experience. And I just look at it as like going to a college classroom in the U.S. I'm going to dump $3 to $4 grand for a fucking college class. And I just had real world experience for basically the same price for taking, like 6 months of college. So it's okay for me. The idea is that I never invest more than I feel comfortable with. Number 1. And I had a budget and I kept within that budget. And actually, we're ending underneath the budget. So I still had like another $5,000 budgeted for this. Yeah. But I realized that it's probably better to put the resources on something else with a higher return on investment.
Yeah, and that makes sense. And when we talk resources, we're talking about internal team because this all costs money. And packing down a failure, like when we done, like for us, when we done our launch into Japan, we got everything to work and then had a product defect. But to unpick that mess took 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
well,
I look at
I
stuff now
understand.
where how quickly can you clean that mess up afterwards? Like if I park something, does that make sense? It's like I try and build that time in. So you build in a allowance for failure rate of some kind, but you keep trying, right? And you want to do the best that you
Yeah.
can and keep 100% behind it. But you know that if you fail on that project, it's like how much does it take away from the budget that you have available to your cash flow? And two, how long does it take to unpick that mess and clear it up? You know?
Yeah, I don't think it'll take so long. For the cash flow, it didn't really dent my cash flow
Of
so
course,
much
it
because
doesn't.
I
Yeah,
have,
yeah.
yeah, I have cash sitting. For this, it was more of just an experiment. I wanted to test. I wanted to try. I
Yeah,
know a lot of people who tried the first time and failed and came back the second time and succeeded.
yeah,
I know people who spent a lot of money on the pre-campaign recently, blew 20 grand and didn't even raise $20,000 from the pre-campaign.
yeah,
So it's just, I kind of like to test things small.
yeah,
And if it scales, it scales. I'm not one to put like $50,000 at something
yeah.
to see if it scales. I'm more frugal than that, or more,
What you do
I
is
don't
you're
want
not
to test
putting
that
any.
big.
You don't put any substantial percentage of your cash flow into something. You'll put money that you burn away. Into something is what
Yeah.
you're saying. Yeah.
Well, if something scales, I'll dump all my cash into it. As
Of
long as I
course.
see an ROI,
Yeah.
I'll dump every last penny I have into it. But if I'm testing things, I will put aside a budget to test.
Yeah.
And I normally know how much it should take to test like new products via Facebook or Amazon or whatever. And, and just go from there.
Yeah.
So every product launch I'm doing, I'm testing at least $1,000 in advertising.
Yeah.
And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. And I just, right now I have like 26,000 SKUs on Amazon, and sometimes it doesn't work and I just kill that product line off. I mean, I let it sit there, FBM, and maybe I'll sell 2 units a year. I don't care as long as they move eventually.
Yeah.
That's basically it. It's not like I'm ordering, container loads in the beginning. I'm testing with small batches.
Yeah.
So, and
Makes
that's it.
So if we
One
were
other
to,
cool thing that I will tell
yeah,
people though is, there's this thing called box Fox. So if you run into like a product you just can't sell on Amazon, go to box Fox, and just wholesale it out. Take your loss, but you're not going to take as huge of a loss as if you wholesale in other places, right? Yeah. So it's like a marketplace for wholesale auctions.
Right.
So
cool. And so if you go at it again, which I'm sure you would, what would you do next time? Not necessarily the product, like to break it down. We know that 85% or more is going to be men on the platform. Would you then go, right, I'm going to do a Kickstarter project. It'll be for men. It'll be a pre-campaign. I won't just lay up, what would you walk through? What's walking through your mind now that if you were to launch a Kickstarter, what are the steps you would take next time around from your learnings?
So like I said, I have a pretty successful women's clothing, Shopify site.
Yeah.
And so what I'm thinking about doing is taking that product, modifying it, putting it on Kickstarter, and then targeting those people specifically.
Yeah.
Doing a pre-campaign with 2,000 or 3,000, doing more market research in the beginning.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem still doing a women's product.
Yeah.
Unless I find something like travel pants or a freaking, did you see those utensils just did, I think, $1 million.
Yeah.
On there. So it depends on what we want to do at the time. I will definitely probably be back on Kickstarter. And it's hard to advertise Facebook to Kickstarter because you can't plant a pixel. We have to create all these like special links and different tracking tools, and it creates a lot more time to learn what's working and what's not working.
Yeah.
Than a typical, like I plant a pixel on a Shopify site and I know really quick which ones are bringing the ROI.
Yeah. Makes sense.
So that's it.
Cool. Well, look, let's wrap that here. What is the best way for people to reach you if they have any questions?
They can email me at michael@inaventic.com. And that's basically it.
Great. Michael, thanks for sharing that with us, because I mean, you've been very, very open with it, and I'm agreeing with you. There's, with failure isn't always final, and it's about how you measure it off and you turn it into a learning activity. So thanks for sharing with the audience. Guys, I'll see you again in a few days' time. Take care.